The year is 1975. A Southeast Asian nation stands on the brink of an abyss. Cambodia, a country already ravaged by war, falls prey to a new kind of terror, the Khmer Rouge. Led by the enigmatic and ruthless Pol Pot, this communist regime embarks on a radical experiment. They aim to create an agrarian utopia, a society purged of what they deem impure elements. The Khmer Rouge's ideology is a toxic blend of Maoist communism and extreme nationalism. They despise modernity, seeing cities as symbols of corruption and Western influence. Their vision for Cambodia is a chilling one, a nation of peasant farmers cut off from the outside world, living under their absolute control. The Khmer Rouge's rise to power is swift and brutal. Exploiting the chaos of the Cambodian Civil War, they seize control of Phnom Penh, the capital city, on April 17, 1975. The population, weary from years of conflict, is initially hopeful for peace. Little do they know, a nightmare is about to begin. The Khmer Rouge's reign begins with a chilling declaration: this is year zero. The slate of history has been wiped clean. Everything that came before culture, religion, family ties is to be eradicated. Cambodia's cities are forcibly emptied. Millions of people, from doctors and teachers to monks and artists, are driven into the countryside. They are to become slaves to the regime's agrarian utopia. Life under the Khmer Rouge is a living hell. Families are torn apart. Children are forced to work in the fields alongside their parents, subjected to relentless indoctrination. Starvation is rampant, a deliberate tactic to break the will of the people. Those deemed enemies of the revolution, anyone deemed intellectual, educated, or simply defiant, are brutally executed. The killing fields of Cambodia become a gruesome testament to the regime's barbarity. These are places where men, women, and children are tortured and murdered, their only crime being perceived as obstacles to the Khmer Rouge's twisted vision. The world watches in horror as reports of atrocities emerge from this once peaceful nation. The horrors of the Khmer Rouge are not unique in the annals of communist regimes. Thousands of miles away, on the Korean peninsula, another nation endures its own brand of totalitarian rule. North Korea, founded in 1948 by Kim Il-sung, has become synonymous with isolation, repression, and a cult of personality surrounding its leaders. Kim Il-sung, known as the Eternal President, establishes a dynasty that will grip North Korea for decades. His grandson, Kim Jong-un, continues to rule with an iron fist, suppressing dissent and perpetuating the myth of the Kim family's divine right to rule. The regime's ideology, Yush, preaches self-reliance, yet the reality is widespread poverty and dependence on the state. North Korea's citizens live in a state of perpetual fear. They are constantly monitored by the regime's vast security apparatus. Any sign of dissent, even a whispered criticism of the leadership, can result in imprisonment, torture, or death. The outside world is a distant rumor filtered through the lens of state-controlled media. In the Caribbean, the island nation of Cuba presents a more complex picture. The Cuban Revolution, led by Fidel Castro, overthrows a corrupt dictatorship in 1959, promising social justice and equality. However, the revolution's initial idealism soon gives way to authoritarianism. Castro's Cuba aligns itself with the Soviet Union, embracing a communist model that brings some improvements in healthcare and education. However, these gains come at a high price. Political freedom is non-existent, dissent is ruthlessly suppressed, and the economy stagnates under the weight of central planning. While Cuba avoids the mass atrocities committed by regimes like the Khmer Rouge, its history is still marred by human rights abuses. Political prisoners languish in jails, and freedom of expression is severely curtailed. The Cuban experience highlights the seductive allure of communist ideology, even as it reveals its inherent flaws. Section 5. Behind the Iron Curtain, the Soviet experiment and its demise. To understand the failures of communism, one must look no further than its birthplace, the Soviet Union. Formed in the aftermath of the Russian Revolution, the Soviet Union becomes a global superpower, its ideology a beacon of hope for some, a source of fear for others. Under Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union undergoes a period of rapid industrialization and collectivization. However, these gains come at a horrific human cost. Millions perish in famines caused by forced collectivization, and Stalin's purges eliminate any perceived enemies, real or imagined. Despite its initial successes, the Soviet system proves unsustainable. Its centrally planned economy stifles innovation and efficiency, while its repressive political system suffocates dissent. By the late 20th century, the Soviet Union is a crumbling empire, its ideology discredited, its people yearning for freedom. Section 6. The Stasi and the Wall, East Germany's struggle for freedom. In the heart of Europe, divided by ideology and a concrete barrier, East Germany stands as a stark reminder of communism's failings. Created in 1949, the German Democratic Republic, or GDR, becomes a satellite state of the Soviet Union, its citizens subject to constant surveillance and repression. The Stasi, East Germany's notorious secret police, casts a long shadow over everyday life. Informants are everywhere, reporting on any perceived disloyalty to the regime. The Berlin Wall, erected in 1961 to stem the flow of refugees fleeing to the west, becomes a potent symbol of communist oppression. Despite the regime's efforts to control every aspect of their lives, the people of East Germany never give up hope of freedom. In 1989, fueled by a desire for democracy and reunification, they rise up, tearing down the Berlin Wall and ushering in the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. Section 7. The long arm of fear, secret police and the machinery of repression. A common thread runs through the tapestry of communist regimes: the pervasive presence of secret police. From the Checker of Lenin's Russia to the Stasi of East Germany, these organizations become the instruments of terror, enforcing conformity through fear and intimidation. The methods employed by secret police are chilling in their cruelty. Suspects are interrogated, tortured, and often executed without trial. Families are torn apart, with children encouraged to denounce their parents. The very act of thinking differently becomes an act of treason. The omnipresent fear created by secret police has a devastating effect on society. It breeds mistrust, stifles creativity, and destroys the bonds that hold communities together. In the name of security, these regimes sacrifice the very humanity they claim to champion. Section 8. The human cost of utopia, examining the failures of communism. The allure of communism lies in its promise of equality, a world without poverty or oppression. However, history teaches a different lesson. The pursuit of utopia often leads to dystopia. From the killing fields of Cambodia to the gulags of the Soviet Union, the human cost of communist experiments is staggering. The fundamental flaw of communism lies in its disregard for human nature. It seeks to create a new man, selfless and devoted to the collective, but in doing so it crushes individuality, initiative, and the very essence of what it means to be human. Central planning, a cornerstone of communist ideology, proves disastrously inefficient, leading to shortages, stagnation, and widespread poverty. The collapse of the Soviet Union and its satellite states marked the end of an era. Communism, once a powerful ideological force, has been largely relegated to the dustbin of history. Yet it is crucial to remember the lessons of the past, to learn from the mistakes of these regimes, and to guard against the dangers of utopian thinking. Section 9. Remembering the past, shaping the future. Lessons from history's graveyard. The ghosts of communism's victims haunt the 21st century. Their stories serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of freedom and the seductive danger of ideologies that promise paradise but deliver only suffering. As we grapple with the challenges of our time, it is more important than ever to learn from the mistakes of the past. The allure of simple solutions to complex problems remains strong, yet we must resist the temptation to embrace ideologies that prioritize the collective over the individual, that seek to impose uniformity of thought and action. The pursuit of a just and equitable society requires constant vigilance, a commitment to democratic principles, and a willingness to confront injustice wherever it arises. The lessons of Cambodia, North Korea, Cuba, the Soviet Union, East Germany, and countless other nations touched by the shadow of communism are clear. Freedom is precious. Dissent is not treason, and the human spirit, while resilient, can be broken by oppression. Let us honor the memory of those who suffered and perished under totalitarian regimes by safeguarding the freedoms we hold dear and by working tirelessly to create a world where such atrocities are never repeated.